Welcome to the Aquarian Renaissance. You've reincarnated during solar cycle maximum 25. Solar cycle 25 maximum. And yes, it's the Aquarian Renaissance. A lot's changing here and now, in the eternal now, in the event stream of our shared reality. And in today's episode of The Mindful Eight, we're going to talk about what the Aquarian Renaissance means for you. It was around 2 years ago that, and I experienced it here and now, that I kind of woke up to what goes on in the physical realm, what goes on in the earth realm. Why we live the way that we do. And then I really went down the rabbit hole, if you will, of conspiracy theories and uncovering energy, frequency, and vibration, cymatics. I understood now that it's all tied back to sound. And I realized I should be using my voice a lot more. I've done it for my entire life. But now I'm realizing that in the Aquarian Renaissance, self-sovereignty is of the utmost importance. And I also realized that friends, family, the collective as a whole are confused because things have gotten so weird that we actually have to talk about it. And in my time in Portugal, I've been grateful and thankful that I finally understood my birth vision. I finally understand what I'm meant to do in this reincarnation cycle. Just the other day, I was thinking, I'm a life path 9, which means this is my last reincarnation. Right? I'm ready to go back to source. I'm ready to just feel the pure white light that is the I Am presence. And it made me realize, here and now, I can just kick my feet up, do whatever I want, or I can leave behind the greatest impact, positive impact of light, of abundance, which makes me realize, why did I get so caught up in 0-point energy and plasma technology and Tartaria? Why is my apartment here in Portugal, right out the window, there's a basilica with a energy device right on top of it? It made me realize that I'm in this reincarnation cycle to usher in a new era of free energy, of plasma technology, 0-point technology. And I came to this understanding my time here in Portugal, which I've now been here for around 2 months. And it just made everything make sense. Everything made sense. But to tie it back to the Aquarian Renaissance, if we're understanding our shared reality as a whole, we know that the geopolitical scene is, well, it's changed. It's changed, right? Prophecies that have been stated time and time again have said that if there was a World War III, that it would start in the Middle East, fall of Israel. And it made me realize, is this really part of the age of Aquarius? Are we going down this road again? And I've said it probably a decent amount of times already, but it made me realize that we can't have Democrats, we can't have Republicans, we can't have independents. We need self-sovereignty, which is exactly what the age of Aquarius is all about. And every Renaissance, there were poets, artists that stood up with their art that was inspired by God, the Creator, and they actively partook in that Renaissance. Also, we're in solar maximum, which means that there's heightened emotion, tension in the body. And remember, the body and Gaia are one. Tension in the own individual vessel, tension on the planet. Okay? Now, with all this understanding, with all these downloads, what do we do? Do we just continue living our lives like none of it matters? Or do we start using 0 point technology, plasma devices, because we're plasma beings, and start living abundant? Because remember, we're still in a scarce model, and we've been in that model for 100 years now. So that's number one. Let's start going down that alley, right? It's going to shake up a lot of things. Massive recession because there's a lot of companies that depend on natural resources. So that's inevitable. Not frightening, not fearful, because I'm well prepared, right? The paranoid, they always survive. But the whole point of this video is to prompt one question in your mind. What role will you play in solar cycle 25 maximum? Because there's a direct relationship between solar activity and spontaneous revolutions. There's a relationship between solar activity and spontaneous social uprisings. Direct link. Every single time that there's been a solar cycle maximum, there's been a revolution. French Revolution. There's so many. All of them happened during when the sun was at its peak. And so I think that there's really going to be this party, if you will, this third party that just rises quite naturally. And they stand for something divine. They stand for something whole. They stand for something abundant. Okay? Now, to think back of how these parties came to be, the Democratic Party, Republican Party, it was all built on division, right? Dividing the masses. So I think we go from this competitive nature, I got to compete with you in the gym, in work, right? Mindset, I got to compete with you. I got to compete with you. I got to compete with the man in the mirror. I think we go towards collaborative world. Because we're starting to realize that there's a lot of weird happening. And we're now talking about it. Now I'm tying everything in because this video is titled, Welcome to the Aquarian Renaissance. The one question that you should contemplate is, what role are you going to play in solar cycle 25 maximum? Because once I realized this, which is probably why I've been in my head as of late, I realized that I'm meant to step into like a public role. I'm not meant to stay in the shadows. That's why I created content. That's why I put my name out there, which has taken me to extraordinary places, but also has forced me to grow a lot, quite rapidly. I think we also transcend victimhood, right? Oh, victimhood. We'll get through it. I promise we're going to get through it. But it made me realize the Aquarian Renaissance that I am meant to step into a public role. Like my voice is meant to be used for the highest good. Because after 2 years of going down Awareness Accelerator, which is the program that started all of this, pulling the lever that is awareness, I've realized that that's kind of what it comes down to. right? I'm always thinking about what impact am I going to have on the world? What am I going to leave behind, right? We're meant to die when we're meant to die. I think it's all pre-written. But the sooner we surrender to just remembering what we're meant to do here, the quicker we can get on with our own lives. And the quicker we can get on with our own lives, the better we can help the world. So it made me realize, I don't know, at least I haven't done the research of many young entrepreneurial minded people who are speaking out on 0 point energy, who are speaking out on geopolitical issues. Look, there's the Plasmoverse that has 64 stargates around Gaia. All these sacred sites across the world, right? China having some of the greatest pyramids, the largest pyramids in the world. Stargate, Peru, like all of these places are stargates. Now, once you activate your own stargate, you go through like the Kundalini process of awakening, you realize that there's the Plasmoverse and there's 64 stargates around the world. And what we're meant to do in this reincarnation, in this timeline, shared reality, is heal the Earth grid. That's exactly what we're meant to do, right? All these natural disasters is Gaia just going through the healing process, especially because it's tied to the sun. Solar cycle maximum 25. What role are you going to play? It made me realize that, like, I'm meant to just not care about others who don't see it like I see it, if that makes sense. Because the mission here is so deep. I was tearing up today. It's so deep. We're meant to heal the Earth grid through subliminal absorption of sacred geometry. That's why all these basilicas had the tree of life. That's why I just recently started drawing sacred geometry, Metatron's cube, Merkaba, all these beautiful pieces, because once we start going through that meditative practice of drawing sacred geometry, we wake up to the law of one, how we're all connected. You're listening or watching this. I am you. And I am the earth. I will no longer allow myself and the collective to hurt Gaia, because we're just hurting ourselves. That's why we're manifesting an asteroid, Apophis. That's why we manifest all these natural disasters. Dis-ease in the body. It's because we're not actively healing the whole. And that's exactly what we're meant to do. So, this video is essentially a statement. What comes next? I have no idea. A lot of spontaneity, a lot of radical authenticity, because remember, we come here to be radically authentic, and in doing so, to learn how to love and to be loved in that radical, authentic self. So the more I just put myself out there and the more I surrender to the synchronistic flow, the more I heal and the more the world heals. So welcome to the Aquarian Renaissance. There is going to be a collective that rises up. Orion. There it is. A sovereign party of souls. Warriors of the light, where we transcend what's coming. Apophis, transhumanism, AI, sentient AI. It already exists. Like, what role are we going to play in this Aquarian Renaissance? And if you can't think about it for your kids, you know? If you're in a relationship, right? If you're married, think about it. What role or what world do you want your kids to grow up in? Because robots they already exist. Sentient AI already exists. Look, we use 0 point energy to transcend our ego, to deflect Apophis. I know it to be true. I've never felt like more true to myself in the words that I speak than than that statement, right? If this is all energy, energy is everything, and everything is energy, law of one, I am you, there's the plasmoverse, and there's 64 stargates, 64 tetrahedron around Gaia, and we're just healing the Earth grid. Pope just passing away, Klaus Schwab stepping down from World Economic Forum. We're all just healing the Earth grid. Mary Magdalene, the divine Mary Magdalene, whom I love dearly. Our time is now, the Alpha and the Omega, coming together to transcend our own limitations. Remember, we're in the Aquarian Renaissance, and my active role, healing the Earth grid. There's 64 stargates around the globe in the plasmoverse. That's where all these wars are fought over. It's always been about stargates. And we heal the Earth grid through subliminal absorption of sacred geometry. It helps us remember what we're meant to do here. So I'm excited. I'm very excited because the future is bright here and now. And I know that I'm meant to be a public figure. So I might as well send that message out to whomever wants to listen. Because whoever will listen to me, I love unconditionally. Because I know it's speaking to the soul. Because that's who I speak to. I see no human. I only see soul. What a trip. What a trip. There's the plasmaverse and 64 stargates, and we're just here to heal the Earth grid through subliminal absorption of sacred geometry. So go and draw some sacred geometry. Question what role you're going to play in this Aquarian Renaissance, and smell the roses. Honor the journey. You're in a time of great awakening. Welcome to the Aquarian Renaissance. Thank you for listening. I love you dearly. Have a beautiful day.